In 1958, a 28-year-old investor in Omaha, Nebraska, negotiated the purchase of a 5-bedroom house for $31,500. He is still living in it. His name is Warren Buffett. His net worth as of 2026 is approximately $140 billion. The house is worth $1.4 million. He could buy it 100,000 times over. He calls it his third best investment after his 2 wedding rings, and he has said he would not trade it for anything. Most people hear this story and think it is about frugality, about being cheap, about a billionaire who just happens to have old-fashioned tastes. That is not what this story is about. This story is about a system, a very specific, very old, very boring system that has been building wealth quietly for generations while everyone else was busy looking for something more exciting. Now let me tell you about someone you have never heard of. Somewhere in the American Midwest, there is a man who manufactures cup holders. Not luxury cup holders, not patented high-tech cup holders, just cup holders, the kind that go into commercial vehicles, industrial equipment, and office furniture. His company is not on the stock market. It does not have a brand. It does not have a social media presence. It has been operating for 31 years, generating consistent cash flow, requiring almost no innovation, serving clients who reorder automatically because switching suppliers costs more than the relationship is worth. He is worth approximately $40 million. Nobody at a dinner party has ever asked him what he does twice. He and Buffett have never met, but they are running the same system. And today, I am going to give you all 12 rules of it. Habit 1. Buy assets that produce income, not assets that signal status. This is the foundation. Everything else builds on it. Old money does not buy things that look like wealth. It buys things that generate wealth. There is a precise financial term for this distinction. Assets that produce income, rental properties, index funds, business equity, royalties, are called productive assets. Assets that signal status, luxury cars, designer watches, upgraded kitchens, business class upgrades, are called consumptive assets. The confusion of these 2 categories is the primary mechanism by which new money disappears. The productive asset generates a return. The consumptive asset generates a feeling. The feeling is real. The return is not. And over 30 years, the compounding difference between the 2 is the entire gap between wealth that lasts and wealth that does not. Buffett's house in Omaha is worth $1.4 million. If he had spent his career upgrading his home every decade, the way most successful people do, the capital deployed in those upgrades would not have been sitting inside Berkshire Hathaway compounding at 20% annually. The house was never the point. The compound rate was the point. Habit 2. Treat tax planning as a primary wealth discipline, not an afterthought. New money earns and then figures out the tax. Old money structures the earning so that the tax is part of the architecture from the beginning. This is not about evasion. It is about the difference between a dollar earned inside a tax-advantaged structure and a dollar earned outside one. Over 40 years, that difference is not marginal. It is generational. The genuinely wealthy maintain relationships with tax professionals the way most people maintain relationships with their GP, permanently, proactively. The consultation happens before the decision, not after the invoice arrives. Pension contributions, business structures, asset location, charitable giving timed for maximum deduction. None of this is exotic. All of it is available. Most people simply never build the relationship that would make them aware of it. The Northwestern Mutual 2025 survey found that 76% of wealthy individuals describe themselves as disciplined financial planners. Only 49% of the general public said the same. The gap is not intelligence. It's the planning habit that precedes income and the professional relationships that make that planning possible. Habit 3. Build financial privacy as a deliberate strategy. Old money does not discuss net worth, not at dinner, not with friends, not in any conversation where it serves no practical purpose. This is not false modesty. It is a structural protection. When your financial position is private, you're insulated from a specific set of social pressures that destroy wealth quietly and reliably. You are not expected to pick up every bill. You are not the subject of informal borrowing requests from people who have decided you can afford it. You are not targeted by financial products marketed to visible wealth. You are not subject to the social performance of wealth that costs, on average, far more than the wealth itself. The Millionaire Next Door research found that the most common vehicle driven by American millionaires was not a luxury brand, it was a pickup truck. The most common neighborhood was not an aspirational one, it was an established, unremarkable one where the millionaire had lived for 20 years. Privacy was not a side effect of their wealth strategy, it was a component of it.
Habit 4. Use debt only to acquire appreciating assets. Old money borrows. It borrows strategically, deliberately, and only in one direction, toward assets whose value or income will exceed the cost of the debt. New money borrows to consume, the car loan, the holiday on credit, the home extension that costs more than the value it adds. These are not debt, they are slow financial bleeding with a monthly payment. The cup holder manufacturer almost certainly carries debt. It sits against his equipment, his commercial property, his inventory financing. Every dollar of that debt is serviced by cash flow the business generates and is attached to an asset that appreciates or produces. This is the only kind of debt that old money recognizes as legitimate. The question is never, can I afford the monthly payment? The question is, does the asset this debt finances generate more than the debt costs? If the answer is no, old money does not borrow. Full stop. Habit 5. Maintain relationships with advisors, not platforms. Old money does not manage its wealth through apps. It manages its wealth through people it has known for years, people who know its full financial picture, people who will call proactively when something changes, rather than wait to be asked. This sounds like a luxury available only to the very wealthy. It is not. A fee-only financial advisor, a tax professional, and a solicitor or estate attorney together cost less annually than the average new money household spends on subscriptions. The difference is not cost, it is priority. The relationship with an advisor who knows your complete situation compounds in the same way that money compounds. The longer it exists, the more valuable it becomes. The advisor who has known your financial position for 15 years can see things that no algorithm and no new account opener ever could. Habit 6. Hold for decades, not quarters. This is the one that sounds obvious and is almost never followed. Buffett bought Coca-Cola shares in 1988. He still holds them. The position is now worth approximately $25 billion. The returns on that holding came not from any particular insight about Coca-Cola's quarterly earnings, but from one decision made once, maintained through every recession, every market panic, every moment when selling would have felt rational. The research on investor behavior consistently shows the same finding. The investors who check their portfolios least frequently outperform those who check most frequently. The ones who do the least outperform the ones who do the most. This is not intuitive. It is not exciting. It is, however, what the data says. Old money knows that the primary enemy of investment returns is not the market, it is the investor's own behavior in response to the market. The holding decision is not a passive one. It is the hardest active decision in investing, made again and again across decades, against every instinct that says something should be done. Habit 7. Own boring businesses in unglamorous niches. The cup holder manufacturer is not an outlier. He is the rule. The Millionaire Next Door research found that the most common business owned by American millionaires was in categories that nobody talks about at parties: commercial cleaning, industrial maintenance, pest control, waste management, agricultural equipment, funeral services. These are businesses with consistent demand, low glamour, thin competition from ambitious entrepreneurs who want to build something more interesting, and cash flows that have been broadly stable through multiple economic cycles. The Wall Street Journal noted that the stealthily wealthy are most likely to make their fortunes in relatively overlooked niches of the economy, sectors with sparse competition precisely because nobody finds them exciting enough to enter aggressively. The business that generates $2 million in annual revenue for 30 years is worth more than the startup that raises $10 million in venture capital, burns through it in 4 years, and closes. The former is invisible. The latter makes the news. Old money owns the former. Habit 8.
Teach children about money through ownership, not conversation. Old money does not give children financial advice, it gives them financial experience. The distinction matters enormously. A child who is told that compound interest is powerful will understand it intellectually and forget it emotionally. A child who owns a single share of stock, watches a dividend arrive, and decides what to do with it, understands compound interest in the only way that actually changes behavior, through direct experience of the mechanism. This is why financial literacy transfers across generations in some families and not others. It is not about what parents say, it is about what parents arrange. The custodial investment account opened at age 12, the decision given to the child about whether to reinvest the dividend, the annual review of the small portfolio together. This is the curriculum. It costs almost nothing. Its compounding value across a generation is incalculable. Habit 9. Keep fixed costs permanently low, regardless of income level. This is the habit that Buffett's house makes visible in the most extreme way, and it is the one that generates the most resistance. Most people understand that their fixed costs should be proportionate to their income. Old money understands something different. Fixed costs are a ceiling on optionality. Every fixed cost you carry is a decision you cannot make, a business opportunity you cannot pursue, a risk you cannot take, a bad year you cannot absorb. Buffett's fixed personal costs in Omaha are trivially low relative to his wealth. That is not incidental to his wealth, it is a precondition of it. The capital that did not go into a larger house, a more expensive car, a more complex lifestyle, that capital was free to compound inside Berkshire Hathaway for 68 years. At every income level, the principal scales. The person earning $80,000 who keeps fixed costs at $40,000 has $40,000 of annual optionality. The person earning $80,000 who inflates fixed costs to $75,000 has $5,000 of annual optionality. Those two people 10 years later are living in different financial universes, not because of what they earned, but because of what they kept flexible. Habit 10. Understand the difference between net worth and income. This sounds so simple that it barely seems worth stating. It is the most commonly misunderstood distinction in personal finance. Income is a flow. Net worth is a stock. A flow tells you how much is coming in. A stock tells you how much has accumulated. Most people manage their financial lives almost entirely by reference to the flow, the salary, the monthly budget, the annual bonus, and pay almost no attention to the stock. Old money manages by the stock. Net worth is the number that is reviewed, tracked, discussed with advisors, and used as the basis for financial decisions. Income is simply one variable that affects the net worth trajectory. The person with a $40,000 income and a net worth of $400,000 is in a structurally better financial position than the person with a $120,000 income and a net worth of negative $50,000. Most people's intuitions say the opposite. Old money knows the difference, and it tracks the right number. Habit 11. Insure against catastrophe, not inconvenience. Old money carries insurance to protect against events that would be genuinely life-altering. Disability, death, a liability judgment, a catastrophic medical event in countries without universal health care. Old money does not buy appliances, it does not buy extended warranties, it does not pay premiums to protect against events it could absorb from its own resources if they occurred. This distinction between catastrophe insurance and convenience insurance saves the genuinely wealthy thousands per year, compounded over decades, while providing exactly the protection that actually matters. The rule is precise. If you can afford to replace or repair it without financial distress, self-insure. If you cannot, if the event would materially alter your financial trajectory, carry insurance. Everything else is the insurance industry selling peace of mind at an extraordinary premium to people who have not made this calculation. Habit 12. Compound human capital through relationships, not credentials. This is the last habit, and in many ways the most underestimated one. Old money understands that the most valuable asset most people own is not their investment portfolio, it is their network of genuine relationships, people who trust them, refer to them, partner with them, alert them to opportunities, and speak for them in rooms they are not in. Credentials open doors once. Relationships open doors continuously. A degree from a prestigious institution provides access to a network for the approximately first 5 years of a career, whereafter the relationship one has built independently matters far more than the institution one attended. The cup holder manufacturer does not have an MBA. He has 30 years of relationships with procurement managers, logistics directors, and operations executives across a specific industry. Those relationships generate reorders automatically, provide referrals without being asked, and constitute a competitive moat that no new entrant with better credentials can easily cross. Old money invests in relationships the same way it invests in assets, consistently, patiently, for the long term, without expecting an immediate return. Here's the pattern that connects all 12 habits. None of them require exceptional intelligence. None of them require special access. None of them depend on finding the right opportunity at the right moment. None of them are exciting. Not one of these 12 things would make a compelling story at a dinner party. They are boring. They are consistent. They are oriented toward the long term in every dimension: the investment horizon, the relationship horizon, the cost structure horizon. They prioritize the stock over the flow, the asset over the signal, the system over the decision. Buffett is sitting in his house in Omaha right now. The house is worth $1.4 million. His net worth is $140 billion. He has been running this system for 68 years. He did not discover it. He inherited it from Benjamin Graham, who had inherited it from the generation before him. This is the oldest system in wealth. It is the least discussed system in wealth, and it is available to anyone who is willing to trade the excitement of looking wealthy for the compounding patience of becoming wealthy. The cup holder manufacturer would tell you the same thing, if you ever met him, which you probably will not, because that is also part of the system.